Hello guys, and welcome to Marsh2907's little rant on Star Wars Battlefront. I haven't done one of these before, so bear in mind if I do miss anything out, I do apologise, but I'm trying to label all the stuff. I've actually written them down on some pros and cons of the game, which I don't like. So this game came out over about 3 weeks ago. I've put about 20 hours of, I think, time into this game. I'm not one of those people like jumping in straight away and criticising it right off the bat. It's one of those like to get into the game, try it out, play a fair few hours, and then come up with an opinion on it. And I'm going to start with the pros first. And you think, oh yeah, there's going to be loads of pros in this game. It's Star Wars Battlefront. It's done by DICE. No. There's 3 pros, and they're actually somewhat you'll pay attention for a little while, and then after a while you just won't notice them anymore because the game's got a bit older and you just got used to them. So there's graphics, audio, and music. So it's one of those ones where, like I said, you'll notice them for a bit, and then that's it. Graphics-wise, this game is amazing. I mean, it looks visually stunning. It's so immersive. It brings you into the Star Wars universe. I mean, DICE have outdone themselves on how well this game looks and feels, and just how they managed to capture the landscape as well as they have done. And then you've got audio quality, which is all the sound effects, the weapon firing, the vehicle sounds, and all that kind of stuff. And again, mesmerizing, immersive. It is brilliant, and it captures. I mean, it basically captures what Star Wars is. The sounds that you used to hear in the movies and previous games, they're all there, and the quality of the sound as well. It's absolutely. Oh, it's just. And you can't really sometimes put it into words because you just listen to that sound of that TIE fighter going across. Or when you're in the TIE fighter, or you're in the interceptor, or the laser fire going backwards and forwards, or hear the sound of the AT-ST going past you on the AT-AT as well. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. And the music as well, because obviously EA's bought the license into Star Wars, they can actually have access to all the older music from the original Star Wars and the new Star Wars, and they've managed to bring this in. I think with a little twist here and there, but they've managed to bring it in brilliantly and then very immersively into the game. But unfortunately, that's the only 3 pros. That's it. I can't seem to think of anything else that's actually good about this game, apart from those 3 main things. And again, you will get used to them, you'll totally forget about them, and that's it. For me, when it comes to games, it's all about gameplay. If your gameplay sucks and basically shit, then that's it for a game. The game, for me, you can't have a game which just looks brilliant but plays like crap, because it's not going to tie you into the game, it's not going to get you keep playing it. So the first con or negative off the bat for me is there's no single-player campaign at all. And I'm going to keep referring back to the original 2 games from the series, even though this is not a direct sequel, and DICE has never actually said it's a direct sequel. It's still in the same series as these games because it's got the same name. And it's just one of those ones where it's got no single-player campaign at all, no story mode. There's some tutorials, there's some survival missions and a few game modes versus bots, but once you've completed them and you've got the credit rewards and you've got all the stars, I think there's a maximum of 5 stars you can get, there's no point in going back into them. You can actually drag your friend in to actually get that experience as well with you, so you can drag your friend in to make it a bit more enjoyable, but that's it. Once you've done them, there's no need to go back to them. So you thought, it makes you think, you're saying, okay, did DICE focus solely on multiplayer? That all means multiplayer is going to be great. No, it's not. The problem is with multiplayer is they've limited the max player size on the best modes that you've got in the game itself to 40 players. 40 players. I mean, from a game that came out 10 years prior to this, which is Star Wars Battlefront 2, you had maximum of 64 players. So you've got a decade of time, yet the player base or player count is still lower. And this is what pisses me off. I mean, I can understand where they come from in a certain point of view. They're saying, oh, we don't want to do players, it gets a bit chaotic. But that's what Star Wars has been. I mean, if you watch the movies and you watch the way it plays out, it's all chaotic. It's firefights going off, lasers going backwards and forwards from each other, people dying all around. That's the whole point of Star Wars, and it gets ruined quite quickly because some of the maps, they're designed are quite large, but they're in sort of like waves. So if you take Walker Assault, for instance, which is one of the popular ones and one of the easiest ones to get into, it's in chunks. It's similar to the way Rush is. So you have 3 waves in this particular game mode. And you start with one, and then the rebels are going to hold these control points for so long, and then you can once they've held it for so long, and after a certain amount of time's passed, these Y-wings come in, damage the AT-ATs, and obviously this won't be exactly what goes off, but I'm just trying to go over this quickly. And then you move to the next wave, and then you go for that one, and then you got the last one, which is wave 3, and then obviously if you don't kill the AT-ATs in that time, that's it. But you only have access to the certain parts of the map at certain times. And you've only got action going on at certain parts of the map at certain times. But in the original games, in the original Battlefront 1 and 2, from 10 to 12 years ago, you had all the map open to you, you had capture points, and you had 64 players. 64! I mean, that should be a standard now in most games, and there's no excuse from developers, in my point of view, to go, oh, consoles can't handle it, so we didn't want to give different experiences to different kind of game, or the same game, to different platforms, so we decided to move it down to 40, because they've got no excuse. Consoles have the exact same kind of architecture now, hardware-wise, as PCs. And I know there's many console games which actually have 64 players, so there's no excuse in my point of view. And if the DICE has gone down the route, which I think they've done, is they design the maps first, and then took player count into afterwards, that's the wrong way around. I mean, you need to think of what player base you want, and what size of players you want in a map, and then you design the map around that. So if you want 64 players maximum, you design a map around 64 players. You don't decide to go, oh, I'm just going to have design a nice lovely map, but then go, crap, I can only fit 40 players into it. And it's like, oh, screw it, we'll just do that then. It's like, no, because then it ruins the immersion for me. I mean, I want to see massive firefights going off. I want to see, you know, all these kind of stuff just going round, you know, lasers going off, you know, all that kind of cool stuff. But no, ruined. I mean, when I first got into Star Wars Battlefront 1, and I got into the game, and that was 64 players, and I think there was a few maps where you used to go down corridors. And sometimes you used to have about 10 to 20 people on each side running down these corridors, and I think the one map in particular, I think it was, I can't remember which one it was, but one of the maps, and it was really cool because basically it was like an L shape, so you're all running down, there's a catch point right on the top, right on the corner where the L connects, or the two lines, and you used to fight over it. It's not the only way, there were actually other ways you could go, but the whole idea was you go down these corridors, and then a massive firefight broke out, so you had 40 players down one long corridor, fighting each other, grenades going off, lasers flying backwards and forwards, and it was like a tug of war trying to get to this point and capture it, and then push forward. And that was absolutely amazing. It brought me so much into the game, and I had so much fun hours spent just down that one corridor itself, because it was so much fun. And yeah, I think they've missed a big point on it. They could have done a lot better. For me, it should have been 64 players as maximum. They could have even pushed it more, but they decided not to. And the massive downside about certain one of these in total is the game modes. Now, there's plenty of game modes. There's quite a lot of them. I think there's Walker Assault, there's Supremacy, there's Turning Point, Fighter Squadron, Heroes and Villains. There's Cargo, Blast, Droid Run, Drop Zone, and Hero Hunt. And Turning Point's the new one that's coming out on December the 8th. I think that's tomorrow. So obviously, if you pre-ordered the game, you've got access to it on December the 1st, and then everybody else gets access to it free of charge a week later. But it seems like the most popular game modes are your ones that have the most maximum players. You've got Walker Assault, 40 players maximum. Supremacy, 40 players maximum. Turning Point, I believe, is quite popular at the moment because it's brand new, but again, I'm sure that's 40 players. Fighter Squadron, I think that's 24, is it? Or is it 28? And that's got bots mixed in between with it, so again, that's quite a big size game mode. And then Heroes and Villains. Heroes and Villains is the smallest one. I think that's a 6v6. But all the other ones, Cargo, Blast, Droid Run, Drop Zone, Hero Hunt, you spend about 10-15 minutes trying to get into a game mode, and then when you finally do get into a game mode, it's either already running with not enough people in it, so you're running like maybe 2 versus 2, or you get into it, you're waiting, and then everybody just drops out because people get sick of waiting and then try again. And that's just, these game modes are just like not being used, and especially when they tie some of the challenges that you can get in the game towards doing some of these ones, so they get a couple getting complete free Cargo or complete free Blast. So then you have to go down these route to play them, or you're stuck with these challenges that you can't complete unless you pay the credits to actually switch them out. Which, like I said, it's a missed opportunity there. And this is the problem when you don't have a server browser as well, because you can't. You're just hoping and relying on the matchmaking to put you in a game which is actually full of people. If not, you're just stuck there praying that you're going, oh great, I've been put into a game with 2 people again, yay! And then you're either hoping it fills up, or you just have to quit and try again. So you're wasting time on your gameplay, or you're wasting your game time trying to hopefully get into a decent game, which 9 times out of 10 you won't do unless you pick, like I said, the main popular ones, Walker Assault, Supremacy, Turning Point, Fighter Squadron, and all that. And it's, like I said, again, it's a missed opportunity. I think if they had a server browser, it would negate some of this. But because they've gone down the matchmaking route, it kind of like ruins the point of view on some of it, because you'll always end up with certain game modes which a lot of people will prefer. And it's surprising that the ones that are very popular, the ones that have the maximum players that you can have, 40. I think it kind of gives us insight going, hold on a minute here, DICE. Don't you think if these game modes are popular, don't you think you could have actually made the player size a bit bigger as well? But yeah, the next thing to go on is classes. There ain't none. Going back to the original 2 games from Star Wars 1, Battlefront 1 and Star Wars Battlefront 2, those both games had classes in them. You had certain classes for certain roles. In this, they haven't given you that. You can pick and choose your loadouts on whatever you want. So the way the loadout works in this game is you have a left hand, a main hand, and a right hand. And you choose these star cards. So in the left and right hand, you can have equipment and weapons and certain abilities in the general sense of the jump pack, ion launcher, homing rocket, I think it is, grenades, flashbangs, and that's really it. And then the main hand, which is your middle one, is your abilities. So this is a general case of certain cooldown abilities you can have which have charges. So it's like you have explosives, explosive shot, you have ion ability which turns your weapon to do more damage against vehicles. You've also got a cooldown buff which stops your main weapon from overheating for a short amount of time. And I mean, I don't like it. It's just so stupid. You're so limited in what you can have, and once you've picked these abilities, I don't think you can change when you're in game. So you've got to come out of your game to change around. So the issue is if in a certain game mode there's a situation where you've got maybe a lot of vehicles or a certain abilities being used a lot, you can't counter it. You're stuck with what you've got. So if you've picked a certain hand which is not going to work against it, you've just got to deal with it. There's no way you can either try and avoid it or just accept it and get your ass handed to you so many times and rack up your deaths ridiculously and probably end up lose as well in the process. You do get access to 2 hands eventually. I think you unlock obviously the first hand straight away as you start unlocking star cards, and then after a while you unlock a second hand. I think this is about level 10. Is it level 15? And it just gets to a point where you're like, you can switch then between, I think, if you have a partner as well, you have 3 hands to choose from. Hopefully your partner doesn't have the exact same kind of loadout as you, otherwise it negates the purpose of it. But like I said, the original games of Star Wars Battlefront 1 and 2, there were class-specific certain roles, and then you could switch them between respawns. So if you had a problem with vehicles, you could switch to an AT role. If you allowed a lot of vehicles on your side that needed repairs, you could switch to an engineer role. Or you could actually switch to a medic, or you could be a jump jet trooper or something like that. It's just, they've taken that away from you and gone, no, here you go, we'll give you whatever you want, but how they give you out in return for it. I think there's a total of 24 different star cards you can use. And there's certain ones which are completely better than others, so there's certain ones which you wouldn't use ever, and you're thinking, well, why would I use this one when this star card, when another one gives me a lot better advantage over someone else. You know, for me, like the jump pack is, for instance, it's a must. You've got to have it because it gives you that maneuverability over other people, and you can get to other points, certain places on the map no one else can. And why would you choose something else in its place and not have that? So then you're restricted into the sense of you've got to choose it, otherwise you're at a disadvantage. I think I use the jump pack, the jetpack, and the impact grenade all the time. I don't use anything else. There's no need to. What's the point? My gameplay doesn't suffer because if I choose something else, I'm going to get my ass kicked. And it's like, well, I'll just stick with what's good then. Impact grenade and jetpack. And then we move on to character customization. You can change the heads and the emotes, but that's it. There's nothing else. So, and these, when you say that you can change the heads, they're all set. You can't mess around with them. You can't change the hairstyle. You can't change what helmet you're wearing in the general sense. They're all like fixed. So you've got certain different kind of hairstyles you can have, and different faces, but that's it. You can't really mess around with them. You can't interchange them. You can't mix and match them. You've set ones and you can choose them. So it's like choose your best one and that's it. And there's no cosmetic changes to the body, there's no cosmetic changes to the weapons, so you can't make your weapon a different colour, you can't change your body and put like tags and tattoos all over your body, or change your skin or your armour, or like, you can't do that. There's none of it whatsoever. I mean, considering they ain't got a single player, you would have thought they would have put a lot more effort into the multiplayer aspect of it, on the customization, what you can unlock, what you can do. No, there's just none of that. I mean, it's unbelievable how they've gone down this road, and it's like, great, so I unlock these credits, I can spend 7,000 odd credits unlocking a particular head, and I'm thinking, well, why would I do that? What's the point? No one's going to look at me going, oh, wow, you look at that head, it looks amazing. It's like, no, you're not going to, are you? You'd rather unlock it on a better weapon or a better ability or perk, which you can't do. And then when you're in the game itself, you've got all these drops which you can get. So if you want any charges, you can pick charges up from a game, or you can actually buy them in the, I'm going to say customization screen, but it's not really. But you can actually buy charges for money. Otherwise, you have to rely on being able to find them as drops in the game, which it just gets annoying very quickly. I mean, you have to buy the charges in the cosmetic screen, otherwise you end up having to spend about 10-20 minutes running around the map trying to find charges and then run out of them all the time. And it costs, I think, 1,700 credits a go, and you get 25 charges, I think it is. So again, it's something you have to do, otherwise you'd be running around for ages just trying to find charges, and then there'll be times when you're always running out when you need them most and you haven't got none. So it's just a way to sync credits really after a while, which I think is the wrong way of going about it. And again, with the special perks on, there's actually a fourth tab you can get, which is on the bottom, which is your special abilities, which is a thermite grenade and certain stuff like that. There's also a shield drop you can do, a smart rocket and that. And again, it's so random the way they drop, you're not always guaranteed to pick one up. And it's like, I would have more preferred them being put in on me being able to choose them personally than having to rely on a certain drop. Just, you know, you run around picking up different ones, hoping that you can take out this ATST with maybe a smart rocket because you hadn't got an iron rocket because you couldn't actually bloody pick it in the first place, or because you couldn't actually change your class because the situation had changed. Because you load out, you can't change unless you go out the game and come back in again. It's like, well, what's the bloody point? And it's just one of those annoying things about it. And again, the hero power up, again, it's just, it pisses me off because it's based on pure luck. There's no skill based, and it's not based on how well you're doing in the game. The hero pickup is basically, are you near it and do you get to it first before everybody else? And then once you do, you just kick ass. You just own everyone in this place. But I mean, I think I've played, like I said, over 20 hours this game, and I think I've been the hero in most of these game modes about the maximum 10 times. And that's basically sometimes on pure luck. And it's one of those ones where, for me, it should have been based on, I think, objective-based score. So if you're the highest you've got the highest score on the objective side of it, so the highest score when you're trying to complete objectives, then you should get it. They should give it to you then and go, hey, do you want to be the hero? Yes or no? Obviously, you're going to choose yes, because why would you say no? And then it should work on the general sense of once you've had that ability, you're locked out for maybe 10-15 minutes. So someone else can get it. So maybe second place person on there. But even saying that, by that point, after 10-15 minutes, your score might have changed anyway, so someone else might be in the top ranking for objective score, but at least then it'd make people go for the objective. I'm fed up of going into games so many times now where people aren't focusing on capturing the radars in Walker Assault or Supremacy. They're not going for the capture station or capture points. They're just too busy focusing on kills and deaths. Oh, I need to have a high KD. Well, what's that good for your team if you lose? Oh, it's not about if you win or lose. It's about my KD. It says, no, it's about if you win or lose. And it's just one of those things where you just look at it and go in, there's a lot of stuff. I think what pisses me off more about this is the fact of there's been 2 previous games which DICE has had, which they've had perfect good templates for, and they've decided to go, no, I can understand where they want to go, they want to bring their own feel and look to it, and they want to do their own design. But when you've got 2 perfectly good games which have worked amazingly well 10 years ago, and you decide to basically throw that out window and start from scratch without even taking slightly bits from it and going, well, why did it work well? Why did 64 players work there and it doesn't work here? Why have we taken out a server browser on the PC and not given it back now, which it had 10 years ago? I'm going to keep referring back to this 10 years ago because that's a decade, and yet there's a lot less content in this game than what there was 10 years ago. How does that make sense? You're supposed to get more content in. The only thing that Battlefront 1 and 2 originally lacked was the weapon unlocks. There weren't that many weapons you could have in the game, and the cosmetic side of it. And there were no like stats and leaderboard or all like that. There were no cosmetics in the general sense of it. There was nothing like that at all. But you had plenty to do in it. You had classes. You had, I think, about 8 classes you could choose from. And even some of them were based on how well you're performing in the game. So I think on number 2, it was based on how many kills you got. So the more kills you got and the more points you got, then you unlock later more stronger classes in the game. So it actually welcomed you to do well in the game. It pointed you to go and do the objective, get points. Once you get points, you can unlock this next class. In this one, it doesn't reward you. You just get stuck with some random class that hopefully works well. If not, you're going to get your ass handed to you. And again, there's no space combat. I mean, they brought it in 10 years ago, and that was probably one of the best things they ever done when they brought out Star Wars Battlefront 2, is the fact you can fight in space, board each other's ships, blow each other up, destroy certain hard points on a ship, and actually win that way. But then, for whatever reason, they just completely went, no, we're not going to have space combat, but we'll give you Fighter Squadron, what we could have actually done, and decided we won't just expand on it. It's like, really? And then when you're looking in the background of all these maps, you see these massive space battle, well, not space battle, but these ship-on-ship combat going on, thinking, I could fly over there and join in. I could just jump in and have a firefight over there. No, you can't, because it's out of the map boundaries, and that's just for the fucking visual look of it. I mean, this game had such promise, and it's been ruined by the fact that it had a good predecessors beforehand, and they just didn't take notice of it. They went, no, not going to bother. Why? It's like, oh. Now, hopefully this rant does make sense to people, and I don't want to sound like I'm coming across as I'm being selfish and I'm so what's the word? Egotistic or whatever it is, where I feel like I know everything and I'm better than everyone. But when there's games there beforehand which had done it right, and then you don't continue that, and you just completely change it and ruin it, then you wonder why people go and complain, you know. And there's a lot of issues nowadays where there's a lot of kids coming in and they think they haven't played the original game, they don't know what it's like, but they want to put their opinion and going, oh no, this game's brilliant. It's like, well, what the hell do you know? You've never played the original games. So for us, we have a certain view on this series and the way it's supposed to be, and it's just being completely smashed in its face and then thrown out the window and going, no, don't want that, we want our own little spin on it. And hopefully, because apparently they're already talking about Star Wars Battlefront 2, they decide to go, you know what, we'll look at the game we made, we'll look at the games that originally were there in 10 years ago, and we'll actually just use what were there and actually expand on it more and not actually limit us so much. I mean, the replayability in this game at the moment is non-existent. You pay 40 quid for a game, there's hardly any content there, there's 11 weapons you can choose from, there's certain weapons in there where the balance is completely bollocks, and the meta at the moment is you use certain kind of weapons, otherwise you're at a disadvantage. The player size is just horrible, like I said, it's just shocking. But yeah, I mean, if I based it just purely on graphics, audio, and music, I'd rate the game 10 out of 10. But because the way this game is at the moment, where there's so much negatives on it, and what it's missing and what it's lacking, I'd have to give the game 3 out of 10. Because no matter graphics, audio, or music quality you can bring into the game, it just can't drag up gameplay. Gameplay is your main thing. If you fuck up gameplay, you fuck your game up. Simple as. But yeah, I'm going to leave that there. Hopefully I've got a lot of frustration out at the moment. I think I've just been very pissed off at the game. I was very, very positive to begin with, but I think I was quite naive, and I thought, oh yeah, this game looks amazing, it's great. But after, again, once that wears out, you actually see the game for what it actually is, and it's been a missed opportunity, and I think it's probably maybe EA trying to cash in on the license they paid a fortune for out of the game. But hopefully, with time, the game might get a bit fixed. I don't think it'll be perfect. They can't really change anything now. Everything's set in stone, but maybe if they release Star Wars Battlefront 2, they'll improve it a bit more and add a lot of stuff which the original games in this series used to have into it. But yeah, thanks for listening, guys. I hope you've enjoyed. If you want to see more kind of rants like this, it's not something I'll do that often, or praises if that, I might do the opposite. But if you want to see more stuff like this in general, then you know, likes always appreciated. It does actually show that these videos are wanted. I've ranted on for nearly 24 minutes worth, which is quite funny. I don't like to rant, I'm not a person to do it, but I want to make my feelings known in this game because I'm, like I said, very, very disappointed on it. And yeah, and if you want to see more content on just gaming in general, or any more videos like this, then subscribe. Like I said, I do appreciate it, and it just shows that I'm on the right track and I'm going the right way. But until then, guys, thanks for watching. I will catch you all later. Bye.